discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome to our show today. It is Wednesday, March 17th, 2021, middle of the weekday, hump day, starting that long, slow glide down to Powhana Friday, and whatever insanity will ensue therefrom. And we've got a lot to talk about today, lots of little bits of things here, and Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials, keeping us out of trouble, ready to answer the phones when you finally call on in, which will be in hour number 2. We got a lot of email, people like going back to the older format. We're going to do an hour of news, then we're going to open up the phone lines and let you call on in and comment about current events and what's really going on out there. First of all, a happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. As you can tell, I'm wearing the green here, and so there's a lot of celebrations out there. And interestingly enough, legend has it St. Patrick used the power of his faith to drive all of Ireland's snakes into the sea. It's an impressive story, but it is not true, because according to the fossil record, Ireland never had any snakes because it is, after all, an island, and the snakes couldn't get there. Now, we actually have a species of snake out in Hawaii, which is an island, but it arrived in a cargo ship. It's called the brown tree snake, and it loves to eat the eggs of a native Hawaiian bird species, so there's a little bit of a problem there. A lot of people were out there sort of complaining over the idea of St. Patrick's Day being a super spreader event. And, that their celebrations and parades and everything were going to spread COVID. But I think most people are pretty much tired of hearing that kind of stuff. Apparently, 50,000 tourists descended on Savannah for the largest celebrations in the South. So they're out there having that little bit of party. Weather's a little bit rough today. The remnants of that big storm that was over the Rockies in Wyoming and Colorado are now working along the southern states here. We're under the northern edge of the storm here. It's raining. They're expecting a little bit of thunder later on tonight. Down in Mississippi, they were reporting green skies, which is usually a warning sign that you could see tornadoes coming on up. Getting into the political news, Mitch McConnell is in the middle of a fight regarding the filibuster, what's called the legislative filibuster, and Mitch McConnell went on the floor yesterday and threatened to turn the Senate into a, quote, 100-car pileup if Democrats nuked the legislative filibuster. And, of course, if the filibuster goes away, then the Democrats are simply going to push through all of their agenda, and the GOP will be effectively helpless. Now, Biden has said he supports going back to the good old-fashioned marathon talking filibuster on the Senate floor, and that might be a good thing to do, because it does require a certain effort of will and endurance to be able to pull that off. Meanwhile, Biden is playing it safe on Cuomo. He's saying that the New York governor should resign and face prosecution only if the sexual harassment probe proves the allegations. And I have absolutely no argument with that. We have seen, going all the way back to the 1990s, a lot of false allegations of harassment, groping, fondling, even rape. Innocent men were sent to prison for that. Let's see, Gary Dotson and Kathleen Crowell-Webb is a case that leaps to mind, and he spent 6 years in jail before she finally admitted she'd made the story up here. So yeah, let's wait for the proof to come on in regarding Cuomo. Meanwhile, I think, again, the biggest scandal is the nursing home deaths and his handling of COVID. Alrighty, it turns out Cuomo and his aides circulated an open letter attacking the credibility of the first accuser, saying she was a tool of the Trump supporters. So he is really out there just, trying to find some way out of the mess. And earlier today, he came on out and said that the people behind the sexual harassment allegations are all racists, which is desperation on the cusp of madness. Down in Georgia, they're moving forward with this lawsuit in Fulton County, and it does look like the judge is going to allow 30,000 potential fraudulent ballots to be analyzed by an independent expert and basically take a look at the what happened with the election. I mean, last November, this was the first time in decades that historically red Georgia supposedly went blue. So they're going to be looking at that. And if I were that judge, I'd be wearing my Kevlar undies right about now. I would be posting guards around the warehouse and actually a fire truck around that warehouse where the ballots are currently being stored, because the people who stole the election, they are absolutely desperate, and they will do anything with a capital A to prevent this from going forward. Meanwhile, over in Michigan, a judge there ruled last week that Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson's last October guidance relating to ballot signature verification was not in compliance with the law and is thus invalid. Now, the Michigan Republican Party and Allegan County Clerk Robert Ganetsky filed the lawsuit on November 2nd before the election against Benson and Jonathan Brader, director of the Michigan Bureau of Elections. Pardon me. The lawsuit claimed that the guidance Benson issued last October violated the Administrative Procedures Act and should be nullified. So they're going to be looking at that and go on back and see were the signatures really valid, or were they simply administratively declared to be accurate, and so forth and so on. Meanwhile, today, the Russian embassy in Washington has rejected accusations by U.S. intelligence against Russia's alleged election meddling as groundless. Now, Joe Biden has pledged that Vladimir Putin will face repercussions for directing efforts to meddle in the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Well, you can imagine my surprise. So now they're saying the election wasn't fair and honest. Can't have it both ways there, Joe. If the election was meddled in, let's go back and do a full audit in every single state of every single vote and find out what the reality was. Meanwhile, over at the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank, a specialist said that the Democrat-led election extension bill, H.R. 1, would disembowel ballot security measures. It amounts to a federal takeover of elections and is a threat to American democracy. Yeah, H.R. 1 is going to turn this country into a one-party state like the former Soviet Union. It's a bad idea. It is an attempt to literally institutionalize the means by which the Democrats stole last November's election. Meanwhile, out in the world of social media, we all know Scott Adams, creator of Dilbert, very popular strip, but apparently YouTube and Google are now censoring him for election misinformation. They're just cracking down hard on anybody who questions the legitimacy of last November's election, which I presume now will include Joe Biden for saying the Russians were messing around with it. So in his March 15th daily live stream, Scott Adams announced YouTube informed him that 2 of his January videos promoted false election claims and were removed. As far as Scott could tell, the videos did no such thing, and YouTube, as is usual, did not reveal specifically what Adam had done that irked the censors. Okay. A Trump supporter has come up with a video basically shaming Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, as you know, the Democrats are a party that claims to love the planet. They want to clean it up. But somebody actually taking a look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's actual home district, they find it is just filled with litter and junk and wreckage, and it really is not very pleasant to look at. So, This story is actually making it a lot of places here. Donald Trump apparently is still thinking about running again for the White House in 2024. He does, under the Constitution, have one more term left to him. And he made this odd comment that he will have a stronger feeling toward running in 2024 if Meghan Markle joined the race. Now, she would be coming in on the Democratic side, and Trump is probably figuring that despite her star power, she is going to be easy to beat. And he may be right. If you look at the audience numbers for the recent Golden Globes and the Grammy Awards, the American population is turning away from the glitterati, as it were, and they're seeking other sets of values by which to judge candidates. Now, a lot of people are saying that Trump is making fun of Markle and that Markle isn't really serious, but apparently she, has been in contact with Democratic powerhouses to talk about a run in 2024. Because if you think of it, the Democrats really don't have anybody to put up there. Hillary is now unelectable. Tulsi Gabbard is opposed by the military-industrial complex. That's why they came up with Joe Biden. They literally had nobody better to come up with than Joe Biden, and that's why we got his fraudulency in the Oval Office. Okay, now then. Up in Alaska, the Republican Party there has censured Senator Lisa Murkowski. They're going to mount a primary challenge against her. They're seeking all legal means possible to make sure that she does not return to the Congress after she voted to convict Trump during the recent impeachment fiasco, which, again, we now know was based, at least in part, on fraudulent evidence because of that New York Times story regarding the telephone call down to Georgia and the vote fraud, which that has blown up in the New York Times the Washington Post face, rather. Now, it may have started with the Washington Post, but the story was picked up all over the country, the Find the Fraud story, and the corporate media, desperate to attack Trump and to keep him from coming back or to get him impeached, just ran with that story over and over and over again. And it was a concerted effort to do that. And that led to a story that came on out of Glenn Greenwald, basically saying, how do big media outlets so often independently confirm each other's falsehoods? And the answer is very simple. They go to the exact same anonymous sources as the primary reporter did and say, did this really happen? And the liars will say, oh, of course it happened, really, And so it gets spread all over the corporate media, which of course is why you're here at Republic Broadcasting, because we are somewhat more honest and accurate and fact-based in our reporting to you. Matt Taibbi has a new story out called The Sovietization of the American Press. And he starts out by saying that he collects Soviet newspapers. He used to travel to Moscow's flea market every few weeks and basically grab up all the papers to study how the propaganda was being done. And now he's seeing exactly the same tactics being used here in the legacy corporate media here in the United States of America. All right, let's talk about COVID-19. It's still out there. The latest decision coming on down, this is from Hideout Now News, is that vaccine passports will be needed for international flights, but not U.S. domestic services. This is coming from Delta Airlines CEO. And so, your papers are now your ticket, your passport, and there we go. And your vaccine passport. So put them all together in the little pouch there and be ready to travel. Over in Italy, they're still going back and forth over the AstraZeneca vaccine. Is it causing blood clots or not? AstraZeneca is saying no, and even if it is, it's worth the risk. Boris Johnson's going to get the AstraZeneca vaccine to try and prove that it's safe. Meanwhile, Italy has launched a manslaughter investigation into this teacher who died just hours after getting the AstraZeneca jab. And they have seized batches of the vaccines, about 400,000 doses, and they're going to be looking into it. According to Italian language media outlets, 57-year-old Sandro Tognati died after receiving the vaccination in his hometown of Biella Saturday afternoon. He developed a very high fever, but went to bed anyway, and the next morning it was discovered he had died during the night. So there's something going on with all of these, and I've gotten a lot of emails about my getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but it's too late to have second thoughts. It's there. I did have a very mild ongoing adverse reaction to it, but so far so good. Claire has felt absolutely nothing from it. Down in Miami Beach, the mayor is out there screaming that the spring breakers have forgotten there's a pandemic. He's saying it's only going to get more crazy amid fears that the British variant is spreading across the United States of America. They're really pumping the fear pornography on this issue, trying to keep us in the masks, trying to keep us separated, trying to keep us certainly pouring our money into vaccines and masks and hospital visits and so forth and so on. Now, Josh Rogan of the Washington Post wrote an article claiming there is undisputed evidence that COVID-19 originated in the Wuhan lab backed and funded by the United States via the NIAID headed by Fauci. And it certainly sounds very damning until you realize this is the same Washington Post that lied to us about Trump's phone call to Georgia. And frankly, I think right now the Washington Compost's credibility is in the Al-Qaeda. They're suitable for lining the birdcage with. Maybe they should change their name to the Daily Fish Wrap at this particular point. Getting on back to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, they're getting ready to test their vaccine on newborns and pregnant women. This is the experimental Ad26-CoV2S vaccine, and they're going to be testing it also on people whose immune systems are known to be compromised. So I wish them luck, I really do. But again, Johnson & Johnson has this very checkered past with having put out a lot of very questionable products, including some of their talcum powder products that turned out to have asbestos in them. Alrighty, over 20 countries have now suspended the use of AstraZeneca vaccine. The authorities are still out there insisting, the benefits outweigh the risks. So what if just a few people have, come on down to this, few people have died. I mean, you're so picky and all the rest of that. All right. Twitter is now coming in with a very fast fact check on the AstraZeneca vaccine. And at this point, all of social media seems to be putting in software filters that are scanning input, whether it's Facebook or Google or Twitter or whatever. It's basically being searched even before it gets posted. And Twitter is now fact-checking AstraZeneca vaccines and basically putting announcements on the Twitter, the tweets, that there is no link between AstraZeneca and blood clots, and the propaganda keeps on going and going. This is an interesting little story. This is out of Children's Health Defense, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s outfit. There was a data leak that came on out, and apparently back a while in December, the European Medicines Agency was the victim of a cyber attack, and more than 40 megabytes of classified information were published on the dark web. And several journalists were sent copies of the leaks, and what they discovered in there is regulators had major concerns about Pfizer's mRNA vaccine before it was even put into use. But of course, we can't tell that to you because, we want you to pay for those vaccines and, money pouring on in here. Another story coming on out from Investment Watch blog. Fauci has finally clarified once and for all that the vaccine is only for treating the symptoms, not for the virus itself. And we have had the CDC come out with this, saying that if you get vaccinated, doesn't mean you can't catch COVID, doesn't mean you can't pass it on. It merely reduces the symptoms. Well, there's no objective way to measure symptoms. How do you know if they would have been worse if you hadn't had the vaccine or not? Because they vary all over the place. But he was actually asked this in an interview, and people have been deceived to think the 95% efficiency of the efficacy of the vaccine means they'll be protected, and Fauci is admitting, no, this is wrong. This whole thing's a scam from top to bottom. Okay, we got to take a break for commercials. We'll be back after these few words.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out thekosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Wall Street wizards on the land from a mental institution, claim private retirement funds. Yeah, they are the best solution. But when the markets crash, we'll be asking where's the cash. Guess them folks in D.C. must be smoking Texas hash. Will Congress pay the piper when all the money's gone?
Welcome back to our show here, and once again, a reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network needs your continued support to keep on doing what they are doing. And the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. And if you mail in a donation of $100 or more, include your t-shirt size and a return address, and you will receive an official RBN t-shirt and the bragging rights that go along with it. And don't forget, the Front Sight Firearms training promo is still ongoing, and that is a real sweet deal for you supporters of the Second Amendment. Okay, we're talking here about COVID-19, and up in Maine, in the town of Paris, yes, there is a Paris, Maine, they passed a resolution opposing the mask mandate put in place by Maine's governor. And they basically they said the mask-wearing order by Governor Janet Mills violates the Americans with Disabilities Act, which prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities. Now, the leader of Maine's largest people with disabilities organizations supported Mills' orders, but the Paris Select Board unanimously passed the resolution on February 22nd, with all board members wearing masks. The resolution calls on the state to basically rescind the mandatory order. Meanwhile, in other health news, and again, this is the problem with the open borders that we have here, apparently 11 Ebola patients have arrived from Congo, Africa. Now, Ebola is very nasty. I mean, it comes in a variety of strains, and it goes all the way from Ebola myinga, which is a slate wiper, 95% lethality, all the way down to Ebola reston, which doesn't affect humans at all. So somewhere in there is what they've got. Turning to the international news here, we mentioned yesterday, I think it was, that the troop withdrawal from Afghanistan is going to be a little tricky, because it turns out we actually have more troops in Afghanistan than had been officially admitted to the public. So Joe Biden is now out there hemming and hawing, saying it's going to be tough getting all of our troops out of Afghanistan by the 1st of May, which was a commitment that was made by Donald Trump. And of course, they're going to milk this and saying, oh, Trump was unrealistic, it couldn't be done. And a Trump administration insider, Colonel Douglas McGregor, former senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense, revealed that Donald Trump shocked the U.S. military only days after the election last November by signing a presidential order calling for the withdrawal of all remaining troops by the end of the year. And the order to withdraw was met with intense pressure from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And at some point, there was a peace agreement that had been put in place that was sabotaged by the U.S. military in order to keep the war in Afghanistan going on, which has now been doing for darn close to 20 years. But, you know, that's 20 years worth of tanks, and there's that money, and there's 20 years of ammunition, and there's that money, and 20 years of rifles, and there's that money, 20 years of uniforms, and that money. It's all about the Benjamins here. Over in Myanmar, pardon me, plumes of smoke are rising over the country's biggest city. Security forces fired on unarmed protesters, bringing the death toll to more than 200. Meanwhile, protests are continuing. A powerful Buddhist group has signaled a break with the junta, which is what Western media is calling what happened. But again, for those of you not familiar with the backstory, there were allegations of major election fraud in Myanmar, and the military basically stepped on in and said, we're going to hold new elections and make sure that they're honest this time. But of course, they're being badmouthed and demonized because nobody wants to give the people the idea that the response to an obviously stolen election would be to, stand up and have a protest of some kind. All right, let's see, got a little more time here. Over in Syria, top diplomats of the United States, France, Germany, and Italy, and the United Kingdom issued a joint statement challenging the legitimacy of this year's proposed presidential election in Syria and said that it should not lead to any international normalization with the country's authorities. And they're blaming Assad for 10 years of war. Well, when did Assad invade the United States or France or Germany or Italy or the United Kingdom? What's going on here is they've had 10 years of war and propaganda demonizing Assad. They don't want a new elected leader to come in because then they have to start the process all over again to convince the American people to pour their money and the lives of their children into Syria for any longer than has already been done. We need to take another break here for commercials, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Forced to carry his own cross while we drive nails in his coffin. You might say it is routine. It happens far too often. A decorated soldier
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about the international news. Over in Syria, their air defenses were activated in response to an alleged Israeli airstrike in the Damascus countryside in the south of the country. Apparently, several they describe as hostile projectiles were shot down. Not sure if they're missiles or drones. The attacks came around 10:30 p.m. local time Tuesday near the capital. Video footage purporting to show the air defense systems intercepting some of the missiles has circulated online, and I saw some of those whiz by here. Over in Egypt, the military demolitions in Sinai have been denounced as likely war crimes by Human Rights Watch. They're saying the practices constitute violations of international humanitarian law. And over the past 7 years in North Sinai, the Egyptian army has unlawfully evicted tens of thousands of residents, destroying their homes, farms, and livelihoods. Joe Stork, the Deputy Middle East and North Africa Director of the New York-based organization, said on Wednesday. And we're starting to see the furor escalate regarding the International Criminal Court, which is looking into Israeli and U.S. war crimes against the Palestinians. Israel, not surprisingly, is coming on out and attacking the institution as a bunch of Jew haters and anti-Semites. They're already saying that the court does not, in fact, have jurisdiction. They don't have standing. So what's going to happen is if the ICC does come to a ruling that war crimes were committed, we can expect both the United States and Israel to simply say, well, it doesn't really matter. They don't have jurisdiction. They don't have standing. And therefore, it doesn't really mean anything. But it will be a black eye in both countries' case. Okay, over in Yemen, the war and siege has gone on for 6 years, ever since the beginning of the U.S.-backed Saudi coalition's intervention. They're still being starved. At least 130,000 Yemeni civilians have died as a result of starvation and disease. That's more than have been killed by shells and bombs. And by the way, death by starvation is one of the worst, most painful, lingering ways that you can go. Over in Iran, their defense minister, General Amir Hatami, is saying that Iran must prepare for nuclear and chemical attacks. We're all feeling that the world is edging closer to war, and we need to remember that during the Iran-Iraq War, which was goaded into existence by the United States, Saddam Hussein frequently used chemical weapons against Iran, sometimes with U.S. support. Okay, meanwhile, we talked about Mozambique yesterday, and things are going crazy there. So now, U.S. Special Forces have deployed to Mozambique to train local forces to battle an insurgency in the country's north. A dozen U.S. Army Green Berets started training Mozambican Marines this week and will continue to train them for the next 2 months. So there's yet another place that U.S. forces are active. Over in North Korea, U.S. officials have arrived for security talks, and North Korea is going to carry out its first missile test since Biden came to office, primarily as a show of strength, that they do have the missiles and that they can launch them and get them where they want to go. The other day we were talking about how Great Britain was going to increase its nuclear arsenal, number of warheads that it has. And this article coming out of Russia Today is saying Britain is punching above its weight and living in the past when it announced plans to build nuclear warheads and challenge China. And the article is saying that Great Britain is still living under the delusions that it is still the British Empire on which the sun never sets. But Britain has certainly declined, both militarily and economically. They're not the global power they once were. And yes, it is a mistake for them to be going up against China unless they are doing it as part of a larger world war linked up with, whoever else doesn't like China this week. Alrighty. In their first overseas trip, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin visited Tokyo, Japan, met with Japanese officials, basically promising a pushback against China's coercion and aggression in the Indo-Pacific. Remembering that China's actions in the Indo-Pacific are basically well within, their sphere of influence. Meanwhile, it's the United States that's going all the way over to the other side of the Pacific Ocean to try and control the economies over there. And so, more propaganda going back and forth, and again, possible war with China. That would not be a good idea. China is also a nuclear power. And as if they don't have enough battles to be dealing with, the U.S. Army is announcing the launch of an updated strategy for its Arctic forces to regain Arctic dominance up there, because those polar bears are just getting totally out of line, I guess. The walruses refuse to salute the flag, or so. I don't know what's really going on here. But the strategy will encompass the Army's plans to operate in the Arctic region, including training, organizing, and equipping its forces to partner with Arctic allies and secure our national interests. Now, what's really at stake here are natural resources and shipping, lines of communication across the Arctic. They're still apparently believing that Al Gore was right and the Arctic is going to be mostly ice-free and ships can cross over it, which would save them a lot of time and a lot of money as opposed to having to go much longer routes towards the south here. The other part are the natural resources. It's being discovered that there is a great deal of oil and petroleum underneath that Arctic abyssal plain. Okay. Now, the other day we were talking about this new ground-based strategic deterrent missile. It's part of a program for modernizing the American nuclear stockpile. This $100 billion missile is expected to replace nuclear missiles which have been operational since the 1960s. Yes, they're getting a little old out there. There was a refurbishment program, I believe, in the 90s. Where they basically took them apart and replaced the gaskets and refined the fissile material. But the new weapon under development will travel nearly 10,000 kilometers, carrying a warhead over 20 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima, and the Air Force is reportedly planning to order 600 of them. Now, that's not such a big deal when you remember that the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima was only between 10 and 15 kilotons. So these are not megaton city busters. They're more tactical missiles, but they are going to get 600 of them for the Air Force. Interesting story has come on out. This is from riggedgames.blog. Not too long ago, back in 2019, there was a coup in the South American country of Bolivia, and democratically elected President Evo Morales was forced to flee. Well, there's been a leak from the British Foreign Office, and it shows Britain saw the new military-backed regime, which killed 18 protesters, as an opportunity to open up Bolivia's lithium deposits to British firms. So in this case, it's all about the white gold. Lithium, of course, being a very important metal in today's global economy. Alrighty, getting on to the economic news. Today's the day, in theory, many Americans will get $1,400 in COVID-19 relief deposited into their bank accounts. And if you were wondering why it took the banks, until today to get this, well, apparently the banks were expecting that people were going to be writing checks based on those stimulus checks, and they would bounce, and each bank makes around $5 million every day on overdraft fees. Plus, if they have that money just sitting there as part of their capital requirements, I mean, it's accruing interest somewhere. So, yeah, they're making money off of your money. This is a very scary story here, and this actually came no less from CNN. The latest round of stimulus payments may hit a snag, and that is because private debt collectors with unpaid credit card or medical bills for which a company has obtained a judgment against the debtor might see those stimulus checks grabbed from the bank accounts. and that would prevent those in need from getting the emergency cash. There is really one and only one way to fix this economy, and that is a modern jubilee, which is a total forgiveness of all debts. And the other component to fixing this economy is a return to value-based currency, as opposed to this imaginary money created out of thin air and then loaned at interest into circulation. Those are the things which have really brought down this nation. By the way, get ready for expensive gasoline this summer. We're already seeing gasoline prices go up. And you've probably noticed during the summer travel season, fuel prices always go up anyway, because the gas companies know, you're committed to driving over and seeing grandma and auntie and uncle, and you'll pay whatever they're charging at the pump. So they actually ramp the prices up there for that summer travel season. Meanwhile, the United States has joined India and China in ramping up coal usage to pre-pandemic levels. Power plants in the U.S. are expected to consume 16% more coal this year than in 2020, and another 3% on top of that in 2022. China and India also have no plans to cut back their burning of coal. And so there we are. Story out of Investment Watch blog: over $200 billion with a B in unemployment benefits may have been paid to fraudulent claims. They're not paying attention. They really aren't. It's just the money comes in, it goes out, everybody goes home happy. And apparently Joe Biden's rescue plan is going to sick the Internal Revenue Service on anyone who earns $600 in the gig economy. It used to be that you had to earn something like $2,000 before it had to be reported to the IRS as taxable revenue. That has now been lowered to $600, which in the gig economy, that's about every single job you're working here. Getting on to immigration and globalism, the White House is out there trying to avoid questioning about the situation down in the southern border. And Jen Psaki claimed that it's President Trump's fault that thousands of children are sleeping on concrete-floored cages without seeing the sun for days. Well, there's a simple fix for that, Joe. Send down some carpeting and some new accommodations, and get them out where they can get into the sun. Because Trump isn't in charge anymore. You can't blame Trump for what's going on down there. The other thing the Biden administration has done is to limit what the Border Patrol can share with the media about the migrant surge there at the border. Border Patrol officials have been told to deny all media requests for ride-alongs with agents along the border. They're being referred to the White House press office to get their daily dose of lies, frauds, and deceptions. Now, Trump has come on out saying that Biden's border crisis will soon become a nightmare. They are coming in from everywhere. And we did mention yesterday that people on the terrorist watch list have been identified coming into this country through these wide open gaps in the fence down below. Have you noticed that the people who insist we don't need walls or guns are now surrounding themselves with walls and guns? Just a little something to think about there. Over in Arizona, one of the mayors there in Gila Bend, Mayor Chris Riggs, said that the Biden administration is refusing to provide any information about illegal aliens it plans to drop off in that town. What Biden is doing is a continuation of the open border policy. They're allowing these people in. They put them on buses, trains, planes, whatever, and scatter them all over the country into states that are borderline red to shift them blue. And also, it makes it much harder for any kind of an operation to round all these people up and get them deported back to their home country. Even the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, on a Fox News interview with Tucker Carlson, says that high immigration to the United States is not only bad for the United States, it is bad for the Latin American nations as well. Alrighty, here's an interesting little story. There were 8 people killed in shootings at 3 Atlanta area massage parlors. The police have captured a 21-year-old suspect. And there were 3 massage parlors that were targeted, 8 fatalities, 6 of whom were Asian women. And that led Representative Ted Lieu to hit out at Donald Trump over his use of the term Kung Flu when the pandemic first came on out, saying that people now hate the Asians and that's what led to the mass killing. Well, not exactly, because they did arrest a suspect who's basically said that, yes, he did it. And he said the problem was he is a sex addict, and he was basically shooting these masseuses who had kept sort of enabling his addiction. And the shooting was not racially motivated. He was simply going after the sex workers. And you know, it's like, I mean, sex addiction, let's face it, if we all had the ability, we'd all be sex addicts. That's why we're here, to reproduce and produce more of us. Everything else is window dressing. Okay, in Wisconsin, Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Brett Blom, who's 38 years old, was arrested on child pornography charges after he uploaded 27 videos and images through the messaging app Kik, spelled K-I-K. And there was a criminal complaint expected to be filed today. And he apparently was doing this last October and November. And I don't get it. I just flat out don't get what the attraction is of child pornography or child sex, and I don't want to get it. I'm not seeking understanding here. When it comes to adults, I'm very easygoing. Whatever you want to do with 5 other adults and an English sheepdog in the privacy of your own home is your own business. But when it comes to children, I have some very primitive instincts that kick in, of which I am absolutely proud. Children are to be protected, nurtured, educated, supported, and all those other good things that will turn them into decent adults with a bright future. That's what children are for. It's not this other stuff, and I just get so angry over that stuff. We got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms, or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356, or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, @hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
Welcome back to our show here, and I just got an email responding to my comment about polar bears and walruses up there in the Arctic, saying that I left out the seals, but the seals work for the Navy, so I guess they're off limits. Okay, this next story has really annoyed me, and I think it's going to annoy you. Over in Denmark, the Danish Ethics Council has recommended giving children as young as 10 years old the opportunity to legally change their gender. And the idea is the change of certificate of health assurance will help combat gender dysphoria, which is those who feel uncomfortable with their assigned gender at birth. I mean, we're talking 10 years old. 10-year-olds. Now, it's just a paperwork change as far as this article is concerned. They're not talking about, medications and surgery. But I think if you look at 10-year-olds, children that age group, they're uncomfortable about a lot of things and not just their gender. They could say, okay, you're a girl now. That's not going to cure their angsts. It really, really is not. All right, let's talk about the economic news here. We're coming up on the top of the hour when we're going to open up the phone lines here. A former Goldman Sachs executive, unnamed, has bought Jeffrey Epstein's Upper East Side mansion for $51 million. That's $35 million below the asking price. And the funds, $51 million, will be sent to the Victims Restitution Fund. So there's a little bit of help for the victims of the pedophile. Not so much help for the victims of the blackmail, but that's something else entirely. Getting into the science and technology news, this is a really, really good idea. It's not original. We've seen this in science fiction books before. But NASA is looking for a way to explore Saturn's moon, Titan, which I think is a good idea. There could very well be truly alien life swimming around those methane pools, and they're designing a spacecraft, a nuclear-powered quadcopter, to explore the atmosphere and surface. It's called the Dragonfly, and they want to send a sample return mission that would refuel itself using the liquid methane harvested from Titan's surface. I mean, there's a lot of hydrocarbons out there in the gas giants. If we could get a fleet of tankers going from here to Jupiter and back, we wouldn't have to fight wars for oil anymore. Okay, a story coming on out. This is from Time magazine, that Mars apparently has much more water than previously known, locked up in those ice caps. It was presumed that Mars was a desert world, and for the most part it is, but it's got a lot more water than previously thought, and that means the idea of a permanent Mars colony is not all that remote. And I remember one of my favorite pictures from the Viking missions was the day that it snowed near the lander. Now, it wasn't water snow. It was a mixture of carbon dioxide and water, but still, it was nice. I used it for a Christmas card that year. We have to take a break for station identification. We're going to open up the phone lines, area code 512-248-8252, and we will be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
Welcome back to our show for hour number 2. The phone lines are open, area code 512-248-8252. And getting on back to the news here, there is a new tech war cranking up, and it has to do with Apple's new privacy controls, which, if you've been paying attention, there are now new menus on the iOS operating systems for the phone and the tablets, where you can go on in and find out who is selling your information, and you can basically hit these check boxes to say block, 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 block. Well, Chinese tech giants are already at work trying to find ways to get around this and to override the privacy controls, and again, force more advertising onto you just as fast as they possibly can. I don't know about you, but and even though I did work in advertising for a lot of years, it does get a little too much. I remember when cable TV first came on out, and the whole idea of cable TV, like when HBO, back when they only had one channel, is that you would pay the monthly fee and you didn't have to watch the commercials. And it wasn't even cable TV. They did this over-the-air broadcast. You had to put up a special antenna and everything. And it was actually kind of cool, and I had an HBO box. And but then as time went on and more people got onto cable and these distributed broadcast systems, the advertisers got in there. So you're not only paying for the cable service, you're getting drowned with the commercials anyway. And the number of commercials per show is increasing. The actual show content is decreasing. I did a stopwatch test on one of the shows that I was watching, and it was literally the commercials took up 1/3 of the airtime, and the content got 2/3, which I don't think is a very, very good ratio at all when you're trying to be entertained. These days, I just put things on the DVR and skip over the commercials. I'm that annoyed with it. And I'm really annoyed with advertisements being sent to my text number. That's really getting out of control as well. All right, getting on back to new news. And again, our phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. I hope that's the right number. I put up a sticker, and that should be it. Anyway, let's talk about what we have is called swatting. You've probably heard that. And it's faking a call to the police and saying something is wrong so that the police show up and harass your target. And that apparently is getting up there along with the red flag laws as an attack on gun rights here. Story that is coming on out from, let's see, 512-248-8252. Yes, I've got the correct number, 512-248-8252. Getting on to the economy, according to the U.S. debt clock, the public is told the national debt is about $28 trillion. It's about to go over 30. And according to the generally accepted accounting practices employed that include long-term liabilities, the real public debt is over $100 trillion. Those numbers ought to make you feel dizzy. Now, if every American paid the government $84,000, that's about $250,000 per household of 3, we could get out of the debt mess. Now, the government racked up this debt on the aggregate credit, and let's see, all right, aggregate credit that every citizen shares. And if the White House shared those real numbers with the press conference, Americans would have an absolute nervous breakdown. Okay, we're going to start taking phone calls now. We've got Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Perseverance rover.
Yes.
You know, when that craft landed, it shot remarkable video on its way down.
Oh, it's amazing. And, I'm sure all of us old Viking veterans are saying, why didn't we have cameras like that?
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Well, I noticed that I got one photo, and it's very clear. It landed out on the edge of an ancient delta.
Yes.
In other words, you could see the stream, the trunk stream, and as the trunk stream entered deeper, calmer water, it spread out and started depositing sediment out in the form of a classic delta.
Yes.
I mean, it's unmistakable evidence of running water on Mars. And you can see that all over Mars on the other photographs or video that have been shot by other craft.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the water flow marks, I mean, those were seen all the way back during the Mariner series.
Yeah. And on some of the other rovers, I remember seeing photographs, and you could very clearly see cross-bedded sandstone. These were desert sand dunes.
Yes.
Mars, the surface of Mars was remarkably like that of Earth.
Yes.
Except for now it doesn't have all the water, but very clearly Mars had a substantial body of water, and it had to have had a different atmosphere as well. It lost its atmosphere and it's lost its water. But if you look at a photo of Mars, and I didn't tell you it was a photo of the surface of Mars, you wouldn't know you were not on Earth. It's a very interesting planet.
It's a very interesting planet, and of course, they wanted to land near that delta. Believe it or not, one of the mission specialists on Perseverance is an expert in microfossils, and they're going to be looking to see if they can actually find fossils of ancient life there on Mars. What I'm hoping they do is they stumble across current life, because that would vindicate Dr. Gilbert Levin and the Viking crew.
Yeah, well, that delta site landing point would be a good area to find microfossils, because you're you're probably looking at what was a large lacustrine environment, a lake.
Yes.
And that delta formed as a result of a stream that was flowing into the lake. And I think that's exactly where you want to look if you're looking for microfossils on the surface of Mars. And other areas, on the big Valles Marineris, which is that big rupture that runs across about 3,000 miles across the surface of Mars.
Yes.
You can see all kinds of interesting features up there. And at the end of that, you can see where there are 4 volcanoes that are lined up. I mean, in perfect alignment. Yeah.
Well, three of them are lined up in perfect line. The fourth one is off to one side. You're talking about the Tarsus region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little off to one side, but it's still on. It's still on that trend. So there's obviously tectonic activity on Mars that there is that on Earth. I'm gonna have to go back and reread the Martian Chronicles.
Very much so.
But I saw that photo, and I thought I need to call Mike and talk to him about that. So anyway, I share your fascination with Perseverance.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, thanks an awful lot. And of course, Mars is my favorite planet after the one I'm sitting on right now. And my personal theory about Mars is it once was much more Earth-like and friendly to life, but it got hit with a major collision. Not as huge as the one that created the moon when it slammed into the Earth, but it was enough to rearrange the crust, lead to a piling up of high terrain in the Tarsus region, and on the almost exact opposite side of Mars, there is a huge depression, which is, I think, the impact site, and that would have splashed much of the atmosphere off into space, and without the air to keep it there, much of the water would have sublimated into outer space. But they're now saying a lot of water was trapped in those carbon dioxide water clathrates at the poles. All right, enough science stuff right now. Let's go to Joseph in North Carolina. Hello, Joseph. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Joseph, are you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good.
Hey, I was calling because I had a few questions for you. So you made the statement a little while ago that our ultimate purpose is really here, or is really that we're here on Earth to procreate.
Well, that's the purpose of all life.
Right. Well, but then you were philosophically inconsistent, and then you had some sort of moral indictment for these people in these high places that do these terrible things, to children and others.
Yes.
So I want to ask you a question then. If we're ultimately just a product of some cosmic accident, and our ultimate end is eventual entropy, then how is it that you can have any sort of objective moral indictment against another being?
Well, we all decide for ourselves what our morality is unless we have accepted one pre-manufactured by various religions. I'm not a religious person, as you all know, but I consider myself a moral man because I have decided certain collective rules of behavior are beneficial for the common good and the long-term survival of the human race. If we're running around clubbing each other with rocks over the head and breaking skulls, then we're not going to be successful as a species.
Right. So then you derive your morality from essentially the collective mind, that the masses determine reality, right? That ultimately, whatever a nation is right. Then how can you have any sort of indictment against, say, the Bolsheviks and the communist Russians?
Okay, well, I didn't say that I derive my morality from the common good. I've just put a lot of thought into it myself and said, what is best for the human race as a whole, as a set of general rules for us to follow? And, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not bear false witnesses. Those are pretty good right there, that set of three. And I think probably most people instinctively understand that society goes along much more smoothly, and we are much more likely to survive to the age where we can procreate when we are following these basic laws. But I would say probably that everybody's morality is just a little bit different all across the globe. But I think the basic principles are pretty much the same.
Right. So it sounds like to me then you do derive your morality from an objective source, in that you derive your morality from God's law.
No, I used the language of the Ten Commandments more for humor's sake than anything else. No, I don't derive my morality from God's law. there are some things in the Bible that I don't agree with, like, not wearing, I think it's linen and cotton at the same time, is forbidden. That strikes me as kind of silly. And killing children who tease bald-headed priests, I don't go along with that one. So, I've been very selective in terms of what I consider to be moral behavior.
Right. So, basically, then you've fallen into moral subjectivity. And also, I want to address your comments about the Bible. Firstly, that stuff with the that had to do with the old covenant in terms of the mixed linens is exactly that. It's part of the old covenant, which we can't practice anymore, because not only was as far as the sacrificial ceremonial realm goes, the temple was destroyed in 70 AD, and also Christ fulfilled the whole of the law, and now we're bound by the moral law. Secondly, when you're talking about the priest with the bald head, those weren't children. Those were probably like teenagers that were getting up in age based on the language that the Bible uses. In fact, if you read the text...
Yeah, but still, sending a couple of bears to rip them into bloody shreds is not how I would respond. I'm starting to lose my hair, too. So, somebody teases me, I'm not going to sick a bear on them.
Well, you see, it was actually, in the context, it actually seemed like it might have been life-threatening. So if you had, like, 3 young men coming up to you and we're going to, or were harassing you and you felt threatened, you would retaliate. And secondly, you've already proven that you don't have an objective form of morality, so that you can't just arbitrarily say that you disagree with God's law and you would do things your own way, because then we fall into the exact moral dilemma that we've come into today. All right, and that's basically a sort of moral anarchy, where really anyone who has power is going to say that, oh, well, I can just do what I want, and I'm just going to disregard all these laws over here, like the Magna Carta and the United States Constitution and all this other stuff. So you see, these moral dilemmas have a wide-reaching, profound effect on society, and I think that sort of moral relativism that you're promoting is exactly what's wrong with America today. And I don't have anything against you. I like your show. You have some good material, but I just wanted to point out some sort of philosophical inconsistencies there. And I would also say Jesus Christ is King, and I would say repent and submit to his lordship, or else spend an eternity in hell. You have a great day, Michael.
All right, thanks an awful lot. It was an interesting phone call, and, I'm not trying to promote my particular view of morality on anybody, and it's interesting because just this morning, Claire and I were listening to the news radio while we were driving around on our errands, and there was a couple of stories. One was like these, this guy shot up his family because the mother of his baby wouldn't share her stimulus check with him, other kinds of weird stuff like that. And you've seen the stories also at whatreallyhappened.com. And I would agree with Joseph that the United States has lost its moral compass. And I think that is because too many people wait for somebody else to tell them what is moral and what is not moral. And if you go back to looking at the Stanley Milgram experiment, where people will just yield to authority, you can have somebody up there in a uniform or a robe or a lab coat saying, this is the new morality, like we're seeing with transgender and children. They're saying, this is the new thing. This is cool. This is all right to do. But I think more people need to really sit down and think for themselves, what do I consider to be a moral code that is really best for the human race and certainly for my country as well. And I'm comfortable with my morality. It may not be comfortable for somebody else, but I really do think that morality is something that we have to choose for ourselves and not accept from some authority figure, in a uniform or a laboratory coat. But But again, if you want a prepackaged code of morality, there are plenty of them out there, cash only and in small bills. Okay, our phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. And we were talking about, in fact, here's news. The biggest U.S. mass shooting of 2021 just happened in Chicago. And these things have become so common, the corporate media just really they're not paying attention anymore. Okay? There was shots fired inside a warehouse and people got killed. And, it happens so much, the news just doesn't cover it anymore. In fact, let me share an insight with you. Do you know why the gunfight at the OK Corral was so historic? Because it was exceptional. It was unusual. Now, there's an image of the Wild West of everybody shooting at everybody else and just fistfights at the bar and all the rest of it. And it was a rough place. But the reality was that because everybody walked around armed, there really wasn't a lot of violence going on. And that's what made the shootout at the OK Corral newsworthy because there was nothing else to compare it to. It didn't hurt the fact that Wyatt Earp retired to Hollywood and became an advisor for silent movie cowboys like Tom Mix and stuff. We're going to go back to the phones here to James in Vancouver. Hello, James. Welcome to the show. What is on your mind?
I guess today, hi, we're doing philosophy today, are we?
Well, that's what Joseph wanted to talk about.
Don't repent, Mike. Don't repent, please. I'm not repenting either, okay?
Yep.
I understand you took the vaccine, is that correct?
Yeah, Claire got her shot on Saturday, and I figured as long as I was there, and, they're already talking about you can't get on an airplane or anything without the shot, and, I hadn't seen any serious adverse reactions to the Johnson & Johnson DNA vaccine, so I went ahead and got it, and I've gotten a lot of criticism for it, but I've got my little vaccine ID card now. So if they really do come down with all this coercive stuff, I'll be able to go to the library and get a book or something, I guess.
Your papers are in order.
Yeah, my papers are in order. Okay, James, stay on the line. We got to take a break for commercials. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stop terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. Take the red pill.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
As a listener of RBN, you're surely concerned about being informed and being ready for whatever may come. Please consider the following questionnaire as a soul-jarring wake-up call. If you answer no to more than 2 of these following questions, you probably aren't going to make it through any major disruption in our country. The questions were compiled by people that have been there. Are you really ready? Do you own your own firearm for the primary defense and protection of you and your loved ones? Have you ever been professionally trained to stand against life-threatening behavior? Have you ever practiced enough to fire 500 rounds during a 2 to 4 day time frame, day and night? Can you load, unload, fire, and clear a jam in total darkness? Have all the adults in your household been professionally trained? Are you, life and death, comfortable with your abilities with pistol, revolver, shotgun, and rifle? Are you aware that everything that you do to prepare for an emergency is a waste of time, money, and energy? If you haven't honed your abilities to their highest level to protect and keep what you have? Do you have the repair parts that will most likely be needed for each of your firearm And do you have the ability to install those parts? Could you completely clean every firearm you own? Are you aware that your body won't go where your mind hasn't been? In other words, without proper training, followed by regular practice, you probably will not win a gunfight. Well, how did you measure up? Take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start correcting your deficiencies by receiving your Commander Lifetime Membership with Front Sight Firearms Training Facility. A one-time donation to RBN for $500 will give you a Commander Lifetime Membership at Front Sight as a tremendously huge thank you bonus.
$500 gets you 2 Commander memberships at Front Sight. $500 for 2 Commander memberships. Give one to whomever you would like.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with James in Vancouver. We're talking about philosophy and whether the United States of America has lost its moral compass, which I certainly think is the case when you see stories about, people being killed for their shoes with a swoosh on it or something like that.
Right. I was going to say that maybe not only the moral compass, I'm not really interested in that. Well, I am, sort of, but I'm wondering about the scientific awareness of the people of America. For example, you remember, I think, we probably both took the same physics course, PSSC, out of MIT. You remember it in high school?
Yes.
Yeah, well, today, I'm listening to people talking about the flat Earth. Okay?
Yes.
And they say, yeah, the earth is flat because in the Bible, da-da-da-da-da-da. And, I mean, I tried to talk to this person and say, look at, there are certain manifestations of the fact that the earth is, like a sphere, not a perfect sphere. And that thing called gravity. And I had a difficult time explaining to them the idea of Archimedes' principle.
Yes.
Like, this is key to the whole issue of airplanes flying. I mean, they displace air, and the air pushes back, Newton's third law, and stuff like that. And I
that's Newton's third law and the Bernoulli principle.
Yeah, okay, the Bernoulli principle, but I didn't want to go there because
okay.
This guy was saying, well, it's density. Well, a 747, is that got, that's got a density, but it flies.
Yes.
But this is an issue where something's gone wrong in America because when I was in the States 60 years ago, everybody was getting ready for a new future. The world is going to be a different place. And it didn't work out that way.
No.
And someone's got to ask the question, why? Who put the, and then this person says, well, if we went to the moon, why don't we go back? And, because we don't have the money. People won't finance it. If you don't have the money, you can't do the project.
Well, there is a plan to return to the moon. I think in 2024 is when they're going to make the attempt, and plus you have all these private space ventures. But again, people who have been handed their beliefs, because beliefs are much easier than knowledge. Knowledge takes work, it takes experimentation, it takes scholarship. Belief is just easy. Somebody says, believe this, and you say, I believe it, and you're satisfied you've done all you need to do to be in touch with the world. And, of course, we know that's not how it works. I actually saw a documentary, I think about 3 years ago. It was done as a spoof to basically prove the Earth is flat, and they did it so well, it actually made a very compelling case. But I think most of this flat Earth stuff that we're seeing out on the internet right now is another attempt by the government to make the internet look kooky and crazy, and don't believe anything you see out there. Trust your soul to MSNBC, so forth and so on. Because most of the people I know, including highly religious ones, people at Claire's church, they know the Earth is round, that it's an oblate spheroid, and they know there are no four pillars there, and so forth and so on.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to get that in there because I think this is an important thing to concentrate. The moral issue, that's always going to be a problem, but to have the society just regress, and the idealism, and you're right, to do the experiment, to actually try something, right, and to get the result,
yes,
not just reading the book. But anyway, now the Johnson & Johnson is just a one-time shot, is that it?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
one shot. I don't need to go back. Neither does Claire.
It's a DNA, not an RNA. Is that
correct?
All right. Okay, well, thanks for taking my call, and all the best. We'll talk again.
All right, thanks an awful lot here, and we've got more callers waiting on the line, 512-248-8252, but we're coming up on another commercial break, so I'm going to give you a little bit of news here. There is a consumer warning out now about these 3-in-1 laundry capsules. Where if children get them, they think, it's colorful, and they think it's a squeeze toy, and they can squeeze it and it will rupture, and the chemicals inside, because they are so concentrated, are very caustic. And apparently there's this one story, a 23-month-old boy picked up a Persil 3-in-1 Color Protect capsule, squeezed it because he thought it was a toy, and it basically burst all over him. All right, we're going to take a break for commercials, more phone calls when we come on back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extendivite's 7-herb formulation is approved to help maintain cardiovascular health and help lower blood lipid levels in adults. Extendivite is made from hawthorn, garlic, valerian, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, and milk thistle. The herbs in Extendivite have been chosen for their ability to help with overall health. Many people have reported improved energy and stamina in just a few months. If you think you could feel just a little bit better, then Extendivite may just be for you. Extendivite is an all-natural supplement. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org. and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Born in the city with a silver spoon, great-grandson of the oil tycoon, raised by wolves, thinks he owns the moon, socialist banker to the one-world goons, Davy Rockefeller, chairman of the CFR.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Bruce in Texas. Hello, Bruce. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. I want to ask one question and then touch on a couple of topics that previous callers very briefly.
Yes.
Meghan Markle running for president. Now, let me pull up my browser again.
Okay, she can't really do it. She can't really do it. You know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, no, she can't. In addition to being a natural-born citizen, which she is, there's a residency requirement of 14 years. And as far as I understand, her current residency is somewhere in Great Britain.
Right, and she also holds a title of nobility for a foreign country.
Yes.
According to the Constitution, Article 1, Section 9, Clause A. You can pull that up if you want. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But in that title it says the Congress without the consent of Congress. So if we have such a corrupt Congress, they could actually give consent and then actually do it.
Well, you know, they were turning a blind eye to the fact that Ted Cruz wasn't a naturally born citizen when they were running him for the presidency. The fact of the matter is our current federal government is not really all that concerned with the Constitution. What is it George Bush said? It's a blankety-blank piece of paper?
Yep.
Yeah, except it's actually parchment, George.
Well, they want to pull the United States back into under the House of Rothschilds totally and under the crown. That'd be a way to do it.
Could possibly be, yeah.
You know, yeah. So I don't think we should just discount it. That's pretty damn dangerous, if you ask me.
I would agree, but again, she doesn't meet the residency requirement.
Okay, well, let's hope it doesn't transpire. You know, but don't put anything past them. Now, as far as the internet, the flat Earth, I see a lot of that too. It's been ramping up for the last 5 years, and not only flat Earth, but space flight in general. Space flight is all fake. There's no way you can even go into space. You see that everywhere.
Yeah. It's a kookification campaign. It's more propaganda.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre, actually. I mean, just look at the way cyclones operate. In the northern hemisphere, they turn counterclockwise. In the southern hemisphere, they turn clockwise. And there's no other explanation than for a rotating Earth being a ball.
Yeah, it's Coriolis effect.
Yes, exactly. Okay, and I try not to fight with other callers. I'm just going to express it myself. You know, I don't think the Christian religion has a monopoly on morality.
No, they like to think they do.
They like to think they do. You know, what's the morality of ripping up the earth for consumables? You know, what's the morality of going overseas and forcing other peoples to convert to your way of thinking and then give money back to the church? You know, I can go way deep into that. But I just wanted to put that out there. Sometimes it's rather irritating, but, you know, I'm sure things I say irritate people. I guess I just have to hold my breath.
I'm the champion at that one.
All right.
right. You have a good one. Let the next caller come on. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to go to Pat in Fort Worth. Hello, Pat. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Michael. I heard you on the replay at night, our show, and I heard people talking about it's impossible the flat Earth to have corners. Well, what it is there's 4 mountain ranges placed around the Earth that'll keep it. After the Lord spun it, not that He left it alone, like Hugh said, he spun it and went on a long vacation. Nope, that's not true. But anyway, there are 4 mountain ranges, and actually the truth is that the cities are getting as bad as a mountain range that God didn't plan. The huge tall buildings and everything. And so the Earth is already wobbling.
Well, it's been wobbling all along. It's called precession. And, back in the time of the pharaohs, the North Star was Vega in the constellation Lyra.
Well, anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there that it's probably going to tip on its axis. Now, why it'll do it, I don't know. It could be Planet X coming by.
If there was a Planet X out there, everybody would have seen it by now. Look how long it takes objects to come in, like Jupiter to go around the sun, rather. It's about 12 years. And this idea that there's a Planet X out there that peeks out from behind the sun every once in a while, again, it's part of a propaganda campaign to make the internet look kooky and silly and try and discourage people from coming out here to find out what's really going on.
How do you explain this crazy things happening now? You could say, okay, God's throwing rocks at Russia. But the thing is totally a mess. It attracts iron. So all of a sudden, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, all of a sudden all the snow over there in Russia was orange.
Well, probably, I didn't study that particular situation, but, there could have been volcanic dust in the air, which is very often orange. All kinds of things do happen just naturally in nature or due to, human mishap. But again, if you really look at it, even the largest cities like New York, their mass compared to those of the mountain ranges, it's microscopic. They're not really going to be a factor. As far as the Earth tipping over, what they're talking about is the fact that the Earth's magnetic field flips over every once in a while, and it's by looking at magnetism in old rock, they can see basically that the north and south magnetic poles do swap on a pretty regular basis, and there is a concern that we may be coming up on one in geologically speaking very soon.
Well, I thought, if there is a Planet X, which, you can't... they discovered that when they had this rover out there looking for anything that would draw it out of its orbit, and did it. Can you explain that?
The fact that the orbits of the planets are perturbed has been known for a very, very long time. And it's thought that there's an extrasolar mass out there. It led to the discovery of Pluto, but Pluto was not really massive enough to account for the perturbations in the orbit. Now they think that they've discovered another massive object, even larger than Jupiter, very dark, very far out from the solar system. My particular favorite theory is that our sun was once part of a binary star system, and our binary twin exploded a long time ago, which is one of the reasons why so many surfaces in the solar system look like they've been shotgunned.
Okay. Well, I just thought I'd throw that out there because this Planet X is about 10 times bigger than Earth.
Well, when it comes to Planet X, I agree with you. We should just throw that out. So thank you very much for the phone call. And we're going to go to Daniel in Virginia. Hello, Daniel. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello again, Michael.
Hello again.
Great. Wow, this been a lot of topics that just were touched on here in the last 10, 15 minutes.
Yes.
What I told you, call screener. What I told you, call screener, was I was going to talk about women in the military. First, if I may, let me apologize. I'm a day behind on topics.
Okay.
I can't really listen to your show live because of my schedule, so I try to call in when I can.
That's fine.
But great, appreciate that. What I want to talk about is touch on first, I guess, is the military situation with the topic about women in the military with those suits somebody talked about.
Yeah, the suits for pregnant pilots.
Absolutely. And what it would do to a woman, the G-forces would do to the body, and how it would affect the women
and the babies
and all that. Yeah, the baby. Yep. And I reflect on when I hear that. I reflect on my own military experience when I would, as an ordnanceman, loading bombs and missiles on planes and stuff. I had whole women teams that I would direct to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And they would get it. They would get it just fine. But you always had that one or two that would use their monthly cycle to get out of it. So I'm curious when I hear what's going on today, how that would be utilized. Like a woman can use her monthly cycle to get out of doing work. Really, she's going to really accept that she's going to go up in a fighter plane and take all those G-forces while she's pregnant? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It's a bad idea, and I think it was just somebody was pandering to women and the feminists and the ultra-left, with this idea that we're really all identical. And we had another story where the Army is abandoning its gender-neutral physical fitness test because the women keep failing.
Right. Yeah, it's pandering, absolutely. So I'm going to jump around real quick, and I want to get to the COVID vaccine.
Yes.
And bring up a topic that I only heard you report on, which of course sent me to the computer to research it myself, which was that anti-vaccine activist who was found dead by her 9-year-old son. I think her name was Brandy Vaughn or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what raised the hairs on the back of my neck. Like, whoa, this is too coincidental.
Well, there's billions of dollars on the line here, and that kind of money can convince, you've got enough money to hire people to silence anybody who's a threat to your profits. We're seeing social media slap down anybody who's questioning vaccine safety right now.
I know it. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. There's definitely an agenda behind there.
Oh, yeah. It's all about the Benjamins.
Just like you said, all about the Benjamins. Absolutely. And I guess my last topic I would touch on is it drives me crazy when I hear callers call in and they're so steadfast in their belief of what's written in the Bible. And they made, for one of your last callers here just recently, when you brought up legitimate reasons why you don't follow that.
Yes.
Right? You don't practice that and such forth, which were great reasons. And I knew exactly what you're talking about. And as I guess I read the scriptures, I read the Bible I search for knowledge and wisdom in that sense.
Yes.
And I think it's great for that.
No, there's good stuff in there, yes.
Oh, absolutely. But to take it literally is a little too far-fetched for me. And to bring up, what the stories you said, and there's more. There's another one in there that I could bring up. And the Bible thumpers that cling to it will probably know it. But I don't really want to go there, Mike. I don't want to piss anybody. I ain't going to call everybody's names. I'm just going to leave it at that, I guess, just to say, I guess what I will say is this, Mike. People who who believe in that. That's fine. That's their prerogative.
Yeah.
But then they use it to attack, to justify their reasons for attacking other callers. Like that one caller, he didn't attack you. He justified. Well, when you brought up those Old Testament stories, we don't go by that. We go by the New Covenant, the New Testament,
yes,
type thing. Like to me, it's an excuse.
Yes,
it's kind of ridiculous. So I'll just leave it at that, and I could go on and mention things, but I don't want to stir the pot, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea here. You know, we're not really a religious show. We're trying to focus on politics and science and current events as much as possible. So thank you very much for the phone call, and we're going to switch to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good day, Mike. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. You're on the air.
Yeah, okay, Mike. Yeah, here's what's on my mind today. First off, there's a few things. I don't know if you had a chance to see Tucker Carlson last night, but it was awesome. He was down there in El Salvador talking to the El Salvadorian president and all these people from Central America. He said it's the president of that country. They just want to come here for the consumption of American goods. So let's get to the real truth here. Now, Mike, here's what's going on here also. With these stimulus checks that bumbling buffoons sending out, anybody committed a crime and there's restitution to be paid out, those checks should go right to the families that need restitution for these criminals who've committed all these crimes and these and that are getting released from prison.
Well, see, Tom, now you're taking the same. Now you're taking the same position that the private debt collectors are taking. You know, that they have a prior claim on that money. I agree. These victims of these crimes by illegals need to be compensated and taken care of. But as far as the COVID relief checks, they need to go to people who right now are hurting, on the verge of losing their homes, going hungry. That's the highest emergency right now, and I think the money needs to definitely go there.
Well, yeah, Mike, I agree with that, but you got a lot of people who've been victim of crime.
Yes.
So I think the people who committed those crimes should pay up. I mean, come on.
Well, I've been the victim of crime, but nobody's ever sent me a check.
Well, they should.
Yeah.
They should give you a check. The government should give you a check. That's what I think. Now, here, Mike, here's what I want to talk about. You know, my buddy told me something, I didn't believe it. Hey, Mike, have you seen the newest thing that's going on with these people that hold these signs for, like, Metro T-Mobile and Metro PCS and or AT&T and all that? They got robots. I got robots out there on the streets.
Yes.
Doing the circles, and have these women dressed up in bikinis. They look like real women, but they're dummies. And the motors turning the sign around like they're shaking the sign. And I'm saying, here goes more jobs lost. It's unbelievable when I saw these. Where I was just at now, I saw two women. I drove up and these chicks are in bikini. I think they look real, and they're robots, and they're flipping the signs up and down for AT&T and all these different companies.
Well, I sure haven't seen those around here, by golly. Somebody has missed the. I mean, even if they're robots, if they look good in a bikini, I'm for them.
Well, that's exactly right. So, that's more jobs taken away. And, Mike, it's funny. Talking about jobs here in South Florida, I was looking at the paper. Like I told you, all those people in Jersey, New York, all the way in Vermont, all those people are moving to Florida. It's crazy.
They are.
How many people are fleeing those areas? They're moving down here. It's unbelievable.
All right, Tom, I got to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials. We got more callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen plan to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love, It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxy Silver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
For over 20 years now, Extendivite has proven time and again it really works. Here is a testimonial from Amazon.com. I received an arterial switch at birth. In my mid-20s, I started getting slight runs of NSVT. Nothing too serious, but enough to cause worry. I started taking Extendivite a little over 2 years ago, and it helped cut the palpitations and NSVT down drastically. This isn't a cure-all supplement. I strongly recommend a good diet and exercise to aid in any heart troubles you may be having, and I strongly recommend giving Extendivite a try. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Some have maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far 5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to another Tom, this one in Utah. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Mike, since you and Claire took the vaccine, would you be brave enough to give me a call and I can take you through, how to say, you can adjudicate what I tell you, determine whether it would be beneficial to help you reduce your reaction or adverse effect.
Well, if you would send that to me in an email, I would be happy to post it at whatreallyhappened.com.
Well, you realize I was readjusted visually in D.C., so what I tell people is just go to Poisoning the Poor and call me.
Okay.
I don't have the email or internet. You know, I was too much of a problem for the boys in D.C., so I've been readjusted. Anyway, so if you'll just look at poisoningthepoor.com, and the phone number's at the bottom.
Okay, I will definitely look at that.
I can take you through some of the mechanisms of the vaccines.
Okay. Well, actually, I remember who you are. Yes, because you're Poisoning the Poor forwarded to Gassing America. And, yeah, I remember you now and talking about urethane and all the rest of that stuff. Anyway, Tom, we're running out of time, so thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch to Vaughn in North Canton, Ohio. Hello, Vaughn. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you.
Hey, thank you very much. Hey, I've just had a couple Guinnesses. I've taken my Extendivite, and life is good.
Good.
You know, I was thinking, I've been listening to you all these shows for years, since I retired about 8 years ago, and it seems like the same thing just keeps running over and over. It's like I'm living Groundhog Day. Do you feel like that?
Yes, I know that feeling. I really do.
To Romney. Remember Romney? It's like Groundhog Day over and over again.
Yes.
thing I wanted to put out there. What do you think about these people are so stupid in Congress, the Senate? It seems like the smartest people we send there end up to be idiots. What do you think about aliens are in control of our Congress and our Senate?
Well, I don't think it's...
Anunnaki, the Anunnaki go way back. Now they're telling me that if you pull a cat's ears all the way back, flat to its head, it looks like a gray alien, and they were sent here to watch us.
Well, I'm aware that if you pull a cat's ears all the way back against the flat against the head, you're going to get scratched.
Right. I don't have a cat, but that's what I was told. I'm just hearing what's out there.
Okay.
With the aliens and they want to release all this new stuff, but they won't do it. Obama was supposed to release a bunch of alien technology. I mean, how can we be so far advanced?
Okay,
right
Vaughn, I got to cut you off. The music is playing. We're at the end of the show now. And please stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got a lot of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. It is critical at this time. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.